Hey crafty friends, it's Rick. I'm back with another video. Today is my free monthly card class. This month we're making some fall themed cards because Rick is in the mood for fall. So we're going to be using the Grateful Gathering stamp set illustrated by Kelly Taylor. It's from Honeybee Stamps. There's also coordinating dies to pick up for the class. I'm going to be using the Neutrals Smooth Cardstock Pack from scrapbook.com. If I have a matte layer, that's where it's going to come from. And I'm also featuring the Autumn Breeze 6x8 pattern paper pad from Simple Stories. I've only used one ink pad for the class. It's Rich Cocoa. I will try to link that. We're going to be using a few embellishments. I'm going to be using some May Art twine on a project or two, as well as the gold glitter drops from Pink Fresh Studios. I'm going to be coloring with my Triblend Brush Markers today. Lord, that's a mouthful. And we're going to get started on our cards. I've already stamped out everything and die cut it out so it will be a little bit quicker for us instead of, since we are going to color every part of the card together. That way you can stop the video, come back if you're making a certain card, watch how I do it, and then come back and go step by step. You can stop and pause and that. I will make sure to put the timestamps below in the description of each card so it's easier for you to find. All right, so for our first card, I have stamped out this image right here of the pumpkin leaves and sunflowers. For my pattern papers, I picked out 3, and we'll go over these again in a little while. I picked out a watercolorish pattern, a plaid, and a tone-on-tone, or kind of a tone-on-tone polka dot. I'll give you those measurements later. We're going to color up our image first. Again, I have stamped it out on Nina 80-pound cardstock in that Rich Cocoa ink. And we are going to start coloring our little images up. I'm going to start with the sunflowers. I will show you. This is the pattern paper I picked all my colors from that, what's the name of it? Autumn Breeze pattern paper. So that's the one I chose to pick the colors from. So let me grab my markers. I've got the gold brown at blend and the gold brown extended colors. Sometimes with these, they work better if you mix and match the extended with the regular, and sometimes the blend is just perfect. Like this one's probably going to be too big of a jump just for these 3 markers, so we will pull in these as well. So I'm going to start off by coloring my sunflowers. I'm going to add the darkest color first. And this one back here in the back. It's been a while since I have colored with these. I just forget to use them. I actually have a video coming out Saturday where I use the regular Triblend markers for a little Christmas card. If you're watching this when this goes live on Friday. We are a little week behind, since I ran out of time last week to get this up. Normally it's the first Friday of the month, but this time we are a week behind. So, but that's okay. I mean, it's all perfectly fine. All right, I'm going to switch over to the gold brown number 9. I'll blend out that a little bit. My little next to my darkest colors, second darkest color there. So we'll blend this out. And that's why I like these markers. They are super easy to work with, especially if you're just starting out coloring. These are a great option to use. They make it super easy. All right, I'm going to switch to the gold brown number 6 for this one. This one's going to be a little bit darker than our other sunflower. We'll make one a little darker, one's a little lighter. It's a beautiful thing about markers. You can create whatever feel you want. If you missed last month's class, we made 4 fun fold Christmas cards using the Tropical Christmas suite of products from Paper Rose Studio. I will make sure to try to link that below as well, just in case you missed that. All right, I'm going to switch over to the gold brown number 5 as my lightest color for this flower. So let's pull that in. Blend all that out there. I like to kind of pull it when I'm blending it back into that lightest, from the mid-tone to the lightest. I always like to pull in from the edge. All right, I'm going to switch to the earth brown extended color for the center of my sunflower. This is the darkest, so I'm going to come in right along that edge there. And that's EB8. And we have EB7 in our regular blend. So we'll pull that out a little. And then I'm going to switch back to my EB5 as my lightest color. That's that sunflower. All right, we're going to go ahead and do this one right over here. And as I said, I'm going to do it a little lighter this time. I'm going to start with that EB6. Or GB6, I'm so sorry. Blend that into our shadows. And remember, anytime an object overlaps another object, especially in florals and still lifes, it will, there will be a shadow there. So we'll pull that out here. A little shadow right there, that little dip. I'm trying to remember to keep my hand out of the way so y'all can see better when we color. And I do have one fun fold for y'all this time as well. All right, I'm going to switch over to my GB5 as my mid-tone. We'll just come right over what we previously colored. And we will blend this together. I'm going to leave that little speck right there so we can have our highlight as well. So don't forget about your highlights. They're very, very important. All right, for the lightest color, I'm going to go back to my extended color. Go brown extend. And this is GB3. I could probably take it to the 1 in certain spots. And I may leave just a little so we can have just a little bit lighter color there as well. So I know some of y'all like to do the 4-color blends. Sometimes you don't really have to. You can get by with a 3-color. Especially if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of markers. Never be afraid. Use what you got. All right, we'll come in with that GB1. Let's finish filling that in. Just like that. Excuse me. All right. For some of our little greenery, I'm going to use the dull green blend. And I'm mainly going to use that on these little pieces right here. So I'm just going to kind of dot in a little bit in that eucalyptus. At least I'm assuming it's a eucalyptus. It may not be. So I'm just going to dot in a little bit of the color at the base. Let's do it on the rest of these. And we will be using all these same colors in the other cards as well. So our cards will all look nice and cohesive. All right, and that was, the darkest color was DG4. I'm going to switch over to DG3, which is my mid-tone. And that looks darker to me, but once it dries back a little bit, it's not. So just come over, add a little bit into here. No, it's not. Okay. I just had to double check. I'm going to come in with that GB1 and blend that together. Now, if like for this, if there's not a big enough of a gap or big enough of a transition in your colors, you can scribble off your mid-tone. Pick up your lightest with the tip of your brush and blend that out. And it helps create a little more of a transitional color there. It's also the same thing as basically doing the tip to tip, but you're just not doing the tip to tip. You're just taking it to a block. So we'll blend these together. And your markers do come clean. No need to worry. They will come right off. It just fades right out. We'll do this one. Do these little pieces over here and blend that together. Just pick up, as we need it, we'll pick up more color for that technique. So we'll just finish blending that out. Then if you do get, you can just scrub it off. No biggie. And that will just clean up with a little alcohol. All right, we're going to do our ferns next. So I'm going to go over to my yellow-green blend. And I'm just going to add a little color right there in the center. And I'll switch over to the medium shade. Just pull that out. You can just kind of come right over it. If you don't want to do a lot of blending, you just color right over that easily. Just come right over it. Never be afraid to try anything. You can just kind of add in a little bit of dark right in the shadows. And then I will switch that back over to that lighter color and just blend that out together. And then my little spots that I didn't hit, I will just blend out with my light color and just blend that together. Super easy, y'all. Now I'm also going to use that same color for my leaves of my sunflowers as well. So we're going to add this back there. And since that is under a little bit of shadow, we'll add that in. And I will switch over to our YG2. We'll just blend that down. Right there. And then I'll switch over to my YG1. Blend that all together. We'll do our other leaves right down here. For our sunflower. I'm just going to pull that out in our shadow area. Have a little shadow right there. There'll be a little one right there. So pull that. And I can switch this over to our YG2. Just a little of that right in that little crease right there. Blend those just like that. And then we'll switch over to our lightest, which is the YG1. Just come right and blend everything together. All right, we forgot to do our center of our sunflower, so we need to do that. So I'm just going to come in with the EB7 this time. And I'll just add that, and since that's normally a little darker, just kind of blend that together. And then I will pull in the next color, which is EB4, and blend those together. And then we'll come in with our EB3. And I just noticed we have another leaf back there, so we need to color that. I do this one green, and then I don't know, do we want to add a different color in that? I'm not sure. We'll just stick to that olive green color. We can pull more colors in with our pumpkins. All right, I'm going to use this color, the EB, the earth browns, for my little flowers right here, or leaves right here. And I'm going to pull out from the center. Since we have a lot tucked behind, we'll have a little bit more shadow on that side. Just going to pull that out. I'm going to switch over to that EB4 and blend that together. Just blend that. And then we'll come in with our EB3. Blend those together. All right, now let's do our pumpkin. I'm going to use my burnt orange blend for that. I'm going to start with the largest one. I'm going to add my shadow color first. I'm going to have a little in there. Around here. And I'm going to give it more of a center highlight. All right, I'm going to switch over to the BO3. We'll come right over that. Let those blend together. Blend this up into that one. So just come right over what we just colored. Blend all that together. And again, if we need to blend out a little bit more, a little bit different, a little bit better of a transition, we can do the pick up color here and pull up into that. So just pull that right up in there. Put that down. Just like so. I'm going to scribble that off where I can blend that in a little bit better. You can see on the pumpkin that I am going around with the shape of the pumpkin, where the overlaps would be, and blending that all together. It's my lightest color, so we're going to blend that out for our center little highlight there. All right, for our next one, we're going to get a little crazy. We're going to start off with our BO3. No, I lie. We're going to start off with our BO6 as our darkest color. I'm just going to pull that shadow in here. Because we have our little creases there, so that would have a little bit more shadow to it. Around that edge. Now I'm going to go in with my BO3 as my mid-tone. And I'm going to add that in right over that golden brown. So that gives us a little bit more of a pop in our color combo here. It has helped liven up that other pumpkin. And I'll come in with the BO1 and blend that all together. All right, for our next one, I'm using the darkest color, which is the GB9 for the bottom of my little pumpkin here. Now you can get as crazy of this as you want. I'm going to keep it pretty simple here. We'll blend that out. Just blend that right together. And I'm going to come in with my mid-tone, which is back to our little burnt orange. And just went right over what we did, and we'll blend that all together. All right, now so this one we're going to go with a green, and I'm going to use that dull green blend, and I'm really only going to concentrate that right around the top. I'm just going to flick out my color. Just like so. We're going to flick in that lightest color. Just blend these together. See, I'm going to use our lightest yellow-green for our stems. I'm going to come back over that with a little bit extra color in the shadows without having to do too much. All right, so there's the coloring complete for our first part, our first card. So we're going to go ahead and create our card. I've got all my parts and pieces. For my matte layer, I've got a piece of the dark brown cardstock from that Neutrals cardstock pack, cut at 4 by 5 1/4. I've got my little plaid pattern here, and it's cut at 1 1/2 by 5. And our little watercolor panel is cut at 2 1/4 by 5. And again, this is 1 1/2 by 4. So we're going to go ahead. I stamped out the greater together sentiment. And this sentiment in this set, when you use the die, there's actually 2 dies. This little oval piece is a separate piece. You want to die cut that first and then put that oval in, and it's a lot easier. So, all right, let's layer our pieces together. And I do have a decorative piece for the inside. So we're just going to add liquid glue behind this little piece. And we're going to take and leave a nice little margin on our card back front right there. Make sure we're nice and straight. Add our pad. We're going to throw our glue press across the table. And now we're going to come back in and add in liquid glue behind there. We'll take and add our panel right there. And then we're going to add this little piece. And this is just a piece with the cut aparts. So we'll add liquid glue behind that. And we're going to place this kind of right in about a third of the way from the bottom. So it's going to go straight across right there. So this is 1.5 by 4 1/4. I will add my liquid glue back there. We'll add this to our card front. We've got our little pumpkin arrangement that's going to go right in here. So we will add foam tape behind that, or foam squares. So we'll pop some foam squares behind. I don't know about y'all, but I love the fall season. We just don't have a lot of it here in Alabama, which is probably why I love to do a fall class about this time of year. All right, we'll peel our backings off. And then I'll pop that right in there. And then my greeting I'm going to put down at the bottom. Over to the side a little bit. So let me grab my tweezers. I will add, now if you wanted to stack this up, you could die cut extras, stacked it up, give it a little bit more dimension. I'm going to just kind of put it flat. And I'm going to actually end up switching these foam squares out because I grabbed the super thick ones. So we'll just put our sentiment right down there at the bottom. All right, we need to add a little embellishment to our cards. So we are going to add a few of our gold glitter drops. And of course, we're going to add those. We're going to add 3 on this side, 2 over here. So I'll pick up my pickup tool. I know there's something about gold and fall. I just find that really a great combination to go together. And I think they're pleasing to the eye. All right, we're going to add some white gel pen highlights. To our little stamped and colored images here. So just add a few of those onto our little flowers, our leaves. Yeah, it's like 80 something today. It's supposed to be the high. It's a little heavier than that though, or a little warm. It feels warmer than that. I know it's the humidity. But there's nice, and there was a nice cool breeze this morning. I wore a sweatshirt. That's probably why I feel in a fall mood. Is because of that. And we did just do one of our Halloween cards, which, speaking of, our Halloween card series will kick off in September. Now I'm going to add a little gold pen to parts of my image as well, just to have a little bit of that gold reflected back into our project. So I'm just going to use that gold gel pen on just certain spots. Tie in a little bit of our gold color we've got going on. Right along those little lines right there. And it's okay to let the pen skip. It actually improves how some of that looks. All right, here is card number 1. We've got to do our decorative piece for the inside. So I've got a little 1/2-inch strip of paper, and I couldn't decide if I wanted to do the watercolor part or the plaid. I think we might just do the plaid and go at the bottom. So we'll just add some liquid glue down there. Then I can take that and line that up. And then I can trim that off. And that is card number 1. And we'll move on to our second card. All right, for our second card, we're going to do this little floral image right there. So we're going to color up our little sunflower, or sunflowers. I'm going to start with the one in the back, and I'm coming back in with that gold brown. Yeah, gold brown. I had to remember. It's a nice, pretty brown color, or golden-ish brown color. It gives me the feel of fall. So we're going to start by adding in our shadows on a few of our leaves here, or petals. Now we'll switch over to our next lattice, our mid-tone color. And I do have all these supplies listed on the coordinating blog post, plus they're listed in the video description below, in case you wanted to pick anything up. It's all listed down there. So we're going to come in with our lightest color. Switch back to our dark. Same thing. Remember, if an object overlaps another object, it is going to have a shadow. Do not forget your shadow. It is the most, your light and your shadows in coloring are your key elements to make things look, your coloring look, one, better. Plus, it makes it look a little bit more realistic by having those lights and shadows in there. We'll switch over to our mid-tone. Those, if I can tell you one thing, it's make sure you have your contrast in your light and your shadows. Those are your major way to improve your coloring. Plus practice. Color something every day. Doesn't matter if you make it into anything, just color. Sometimes you can just color and not make it into anything and learn a lot. that out. There's that one. We're going to switch over to our gold yellow blend, and I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to have this one a little bit different colored. We are going to color it the exact same way using our dark first. Anywhere that something has overlapped, we will be darker. And in case you didn't know, sunflowers are actually one of my favorite flowers. Favorite fall, summer flower. Spring is probably going to be an iris. I love irises. And I get that from my mother. I remember as a kid, she always had irises growing in the yard. To me, they are just very southern. It's one of the things we did when we moved into this house. I made sure we had irises in the yard and hydrangeas, which is another one of my favorite flowers. You can't have, to me, those are just typical southern flowers, and you got to have those in your yard. So, if I ever were to move out of Alabama, I would definitely have to do that anywhere I moved. They would remind me so much of home. We're going to come in with that mid-tone color. Coming right over what we previously colored. Have that transition. And you can see with these markers, the longer they sit, the better they actually blend. So we'll blend that out with our lightest color. And it's okay if you leave little spots of white. That just gives it a little highlight. You don't have to work so hard. I tell people all the time, baby, do what you want, you think is right, you do that. There's no right or wrong way to do anything. All right, we're going to use our little leaves here. So we're going to come back to our gold, yellow, green blend. I'm going to come right there. We'll blend that. That will put a little part right there. We're going to blend out. We'll switch over to our mid-tone. So I'm just going to blend those together. Put that lid back on. I'll come in with that lightest color and blend the two together. Now, I will tell you what Spectrum Noir says how to color with these. And you're supposed to put your lightest color in first. You want to fill the entire image in with your lightest color. So we'll do that. And then you come in with your darkest. And it does work. You can do it either way. You can go light to dark or dark to light. It's all in how you want to color. But sometimes, and it depends on, and I have noticed that if you have, sometimes you have a hard time transitioning a color. If you will do it the light to dark or light, fill everything in with the light, and then come back in with the dark and medium and light again, you get a little bit better of a transition on some color combinations. If Rick could talk, we would be in business. So we'll come back over that with our lightest color. All right, we're going to come in with our browns for our center of our sunflowers. Sorry, I had to get a drink. So I'm going to come in with my lightest color. I'll come over that entire center of that flower. Now we'll switch over to my dark. And I am not worried one little bit about those individual circles on that center. I am just going to go right over and treat it like one solid center. That way it's a little easier to color it. If I had to worry about those individual little circles, I probably would drive myself crazy. All right, so there is our image colored up for our second card. So I'll pull in my card base. We have a top folding A2 card base. I have a piece of 1.5 by 4 1/4 piece of pattern paper and a piece of 1 3/4 by 4, and then my little strip for the inside. So we are going to add our smaller piece first. So we're going to add that, and we're going to go straight at the bottom and make that nice and flush at the bottom right there. And then we're going to add our second piece. Right along the edge. And I will be working on this month's PDF card class as well. So if you have a preference on what you would like to see in that class, if you would rather see, because I was thinking about doing Halloween treat packaging or something like that. If you want to see something like that, whatever you want to see, let me know in the comments below so that I can get that planned. And it needs to be like in the next couple of days so that I can get, it has to be up by the 20th. So that means I have to have time to photograph, complete the projects, and get them uploaded and into PDF form. So if you have a preference, let me know. I'm happy to make any kind of PDF class y'all would like. All right, so there is our card base. We're going to take and add foam squares behind our floral. So I did switch over to some thinner foam squares. I'm going to add a few of those behind there. I'm going to have to get some more because we're running out. I'm going to take my little sunflowers here. I'm actually going to set those to the side for a second. I'm going to take a little tape runner, and I'm going to run some tape where I know it will be hid behind my flowers. But I'm going to take some of our May Art twine, probably about 20 inches or so, and I'm going to wrap it around my fingers. Then I can take and pull that out. Get a little wider than what we had it. I'm want you to take and pop those centers in there so that we can move this around a little bit. I have that little bit of twine back there in our little image. We'll take our little sunflowers and we're going to lay that right on just our little circles. Pop on our little sunflowers. And I'm going to come in and give it a little highlight. So I'll pop in a few of our gel pen highlights on our little sunflowers here. So we'll just pop those in. Add them to our sunflower over here. Just add just a few. And yeah, if it skips, that's fine, y'all. Don't worry about it. It'd be okay. Sometimes that makes the best highlights. Now I've got my little sentiment over here. I'm going to take a smaller foam square and pop in our sentiment. Add just that foam square behind there. We'll take that backing off. And my sentiment for this card is simply just going to be high. So we're going to line it right up right there. And then I'm going to add a few of our bronze or gold glitter drops on this card. As Rick spills them everywhere. That's why we can't have nice things. Because Rick is a klutz. We're going to pop on 3 up there. And we will pick up 3 more. And place around at the bottom and in the middle. So I'll pop that last one on right there. I'll move those up out of the way. There's a look at our second card. We did add our inside in there. So I'll move that. All right, for our third card, I've got this little arrangement of the pumpkins and gourds and everything. So we are going to color our pumpkin first. So I will just fill that pumpkin in with our lightest color. And then back to that burnt orange Triblend marker. I'm just going to fill this in. So this is our main little focal area here. I will come in with my darkest color on that edge of our little, the bottom of our pumpkin. Just flick up that color. A little sunflower here. That up. I'm going to blend, pull this down. I'll switch over to our medium color. I'll blend that out. Just flick that color right up in there. With our brush tip there. And we'll blend that out with our lightest color again. Flick that right up in there. All right, let's do our, I'm gonna pull in a tan for this back here. This little frond thingy. Could be a fern branch. Don't really know. You can color it any way you want. It's your card by Georges. By Georges, it's yours. Do what you want. All right, we're gonna color, blend that out. We'll just flick out that color right there. And then for this back here, I'm going to use the tan extended color for that. And I'm just going to color it the same way we did the last one. And I'm going to flick in colors from the outside edge in. So I want that center to be lighter. Flick out our medium color. And then I will blend it out with our lightest. And then we're going to do the same thing over on this one, but I will lay in that light color first. And pull that out and in a little bit. Just pull that right on in there. And then we'll blend that out with our mid-tone. And our lightest color. And I think this time I'm going to make this gourd. I'm going to give it a little, I'm going to make it tan. So I'm going to use that same color we just used. Our little gourd down here, we'll fill that in. And then we're just going to have it come in with our darkest. Come around that leaf since it is in shadow. Pull that down. Then we'll come in with our medium color. And we almost had a big old accident because Rick almost dropped that marker right on our pumpkin. So we'll blend that out with our lightest color. I'm going to go ahead and color that stem. I'm just going to use the medium and the light to do that. All right, let's come in with our green here. And I'm going to fill all that in with our green, or our dull green, I should say. So we're going to use our other green for the other parts. It's going to color all that in like that. And then I'm going to add this. I'm going to add just the center line on that frond, and I'll pull out just a little bit of color. Just flick out that mid-tone, and then flick out the lot. That way it's nice. I mean, you're not going to blend the entire thing. It's okay, because who wants to sit there and teeny tiny add little blends to those little bitty lines? Nobody. Nobody. Absolutely nobody wants to do that. So just add in the center and pull it out with your midtones and your lot. That would be your easiest way to do that. Don't go crazy, people. Don't go crazy, my friends. Trying to blend out some good small area. Just don't. Don't even worry about it. Add a little color, go on. You ain't got to do all that. All right, we'll blend these little areas out, just blending those together right over what we previously colored. Now we're going to come in with our other green, and we are going to do our sunflower leaves back here. I'm also going to go ahead and color over that stem. We'll add in these leaves right there. We'll fill in this one. That one. All right, now we're going to come in with our dark. And I will flick up a little bit of that in that back flower leaf. A little bit on our stem. Go ahead and blend our little stem out there, since we don't have to come back to it. And that leaf. Blend in that light color. All right, we're going to come back here in our little leaf back in that back. I'll blend that out with my medium. And since there's only just a little bit of a highlight, we'll just come right over that. We're going to come right over our next leaf. We'll blend right around, add that shadow color in. We'll add in our mid-tone. And our light. Same thing with this one over on this side. So we'll blend that out. And we'll do that right there. And we do have a little bit of a turn right there, so we will add that little bit of a shadow in. Just blend that out just a little bit. And our little shadow, or highlight. All right, let's do our other leaf, our last little leaf on this flower, and then we can do our sunflowers. We come right over that middle, since it's going to be pressed in a little bit on this flower. Come in with our mid-tone and blend everything together with our highlight. I'm going to do my centers first of my little flowers. So I'm just going to kind of come on. I'm going to give everything a highlight on that side for them. So we'll just kind of blend right over that. And our lightest color right there. Blend all that just right together. For our little flowers. All right, we're gonna do our flowers. And I'm going to color, go ahead and fill all those in with our lightest color. I'm going to use using the gold brown blend for this. And I did pull out a red in just in case I wanted to add a little bit of red to something, but I'm keeping it pretty much in those same colors we've already used. So we're going to add those in. I'm going to switch over to my dark. Start at our base of our little leaves, or petals. These are petals. Those are petals. Sunflowers have petals. All right, I'm just going to blend out our shadow color there. We'll pull in our mid-tone. I'll just come right over what I just colored with our shadow color. And we'll blend those. Come right over there. A little dent right there and right here. I'm going to switch over to the light. I will blend everything out. Now, if everything dries out a little much for you, just come back over it with your markers and re-moisten that area, and it will start blending a little bit better. Okay. Sometimes you have to work at your blend to get it to work. All right, we're going to come and add just a little right here of our dark. Right along those edges. That one I'm going to do completely dark. See, it is tucked back in there. So there is our dark. I come in with my mid-tone. Blend that out. And our little sunflower. Let's come right over what we just colored. And then we will blend that all together. Just like so. All right, for my parts and pieces of our card, I've got my standard A2 card base. I've got a piece of 3x4 pattern paper, a piece of 1 1/4 by 4, and a piece, this is going to go for the inside, and a piece that's 1 1/2 by 4 1/4. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay this piece on first. And make sure I have this laid out right. Yes, that goes first. So we're going to add liquid glue behind here. And I'm going to add that strip right on the edge of our card. All right, this piece is going to go at the bottom. So we're going to just line that up right along the bottom edge of our card. Then our leaf panel is going to go in that larger spot. Go right on there. Our arrangement will go right there. I'm going to have to find my sentiment because Rick has lost it. I'm just going to stamp my sentiment again. All right, I'm going to use the die and cut this out. We're going to cut our sentiment out since Rick has lost it, which is no surprise. No surprise at all. So while I'm cutting, I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple extra little pieces. That way I can stack up that sentiment together and have a little bit of dimension and not have to worry about the little small foam squares. We'll just stack up a couple of our little die cut pieces here. Run that through one more time. Little scout out of the way. All right, so I'll go ahead and stack up my sentiment. So we'll add liquid glue behind that. This is the one that's going on top, so we will press those together. Add a little bit more liquid glue on the back so we can add our third one. Everything's nice and lined up. And then that way, all we have to do is add foam squares behind our little arrangement. So I'll add those on, and we'll get those backings off. Then we can add our little ball arrangement right there. We'll take our sentiment, and I will add liquid glue behind that. And it's going to go right there. All right, I've got my piece of pattern paper for the inside of my card. So we will add that. Along the right-hand side. And I will trim off that excess that's overhanging. All right, we will add in our gel pen highlights on our little pumpkin here, and our gourds, on our little flowers. Now remember, you could always add more. If you wanted to use some stickles, you could. I'm not using any today so far, so we will see if we continue with that trend. I'm going to pull my gold gel pen in and add a little bit of gold. And say, what did I do with my gold gel pen? We have lost it, which would be no surprise. Add a little gold to our little stem up here. Our little leaves, and really on this, the center of our little floral or stems right there, so they kind of pop out just a little bit more. Just a little bit of gold. Add some gold around the little outside edge of our sunflower here. All right, we'll add a few gold drops. So I'll get those, and we will try not to spill them this time. So we'll pop one down here. We'll have one up there. And right there. A small one right there. And a medium one right there. All right, so there's card number 3. Look at the inside. And we're moving on to our final card, which is our fun fold. All right, for our coloring, we have our little wagon wheel. We are going to color that up first. And I'm going to use the Earth Brown blends. And I'm going to start where I want it to be the darkest. Right along. It took me 3 times to stamp this and get this stamped outright. And my advice to you would be to die cut it first, line everything up, and then stamp it. But I would definitely start with die cutting it first, because that's where I had the most problem. And why am I think I'm coloring? No, I was on the right side. For a minute there, I thought, am I on the wrong side again? All right, so we're gonna add our dark. And we're gonna move around and blend that out with our medium part of our wheel. And I'm going to come around the entire thing with that one right there, and then I will blend everything together shortly. Our medium color. The spokes is what I had the most problems with, getting to make sure it was lined up right. And you can still see it's still off a little bit, but it will be okay. But wait. All right, so there's our medium tone. I'm going to come over that with our lightest. That. Then we'll blend these together. Right around through there. Flick Flick, 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 flick our little color. All right, so there is our little wagon wheel. Now I've got my little parts and pieces for my leaves. So I've cut those out as well. We are going to color up these little leaves. I'll move that to the side. We're going to color our little leaves. I'm going to start with these right here because I'm going to color them the same way. I need my tan blend. So I fill this in with that color. I'll do this one the exact same color. So I'm just filling everything in with the lightest color. Then I'm going to switch to my dark. It's going to come right along that center part right there. Just a little bit of a shadow right there. And those little pieces, I will switch over to that medium. These totally remind me of like 70s vibe. All right, let's come in with our lightest color and blend that all together. They do. It just has a 70s vibe to me. All right, so there are a little leaf right there, and I did forget to do the stem, so we'll have to go back and do that. So while I'm doing that, we might as well hit that with a little color. Because we forgot it. It doesn't really matter. We're probably not going to see it anyway. All right, so we're going to do this one, and we're going to flick out from that bottom area. And we're going to extend it out in those little creases. The flower or leaf. All right, we'll blend this out with our medium. I'm just going to flick that up right into our light. Then I'm going to pull that light in and blend that all together. So there's that. And we got our little leaves and our little pieces here. These I'm going to color. This time I'm going to do them orange. So I'm going to fill these in with the lightest burnt orange color. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of our dark, just right towards the center. I will switch over to my medium tone. Let's blend that out just a tad. Then I'll come back with that light and add in just a little bit more to blend that all to meld together. I'll do the same thing on this little one right here. These are little small little areas, so they're not You don't have to do a lot of blending. Just touching it in little areas actually does a lot for it. So we'll do our medium color right there. And I'll come in and finish blending that out with just a little dot right over our blend. There are those. All right, let's do our leaves. I'm going to do one with the dull green and one with the other green we've been using, our yellow green. I'm going to do one of each of our little flowers or leaves in those colors. So this is our dull green. We're going to start with it. I'm going to pull in that dark color from underneath that little shadow there. And then I will do this side. I'm going to switch over to our little medium color. And we'll flick up into that center. I'm going to switch to the light. And I'll blend those together. All right, we'll go to this leaf. This one, I'm just going to do the dark at the base and right along that little edge right there. And I'll move over to our medium color. And our light. We'll blend that all right together. There's those two leaves. Now we're going to switch to our yellow green. And what we're going to do is we're going to make an arrangement with these leaves onto our wagon wheel. We're going to just make a nice little arrangement. Instead of having to do more, I thought it would be a great way to show y'all how to use the little leaves and stuff in the stamp set so that y'all can create something with it as well. But sometimes you just don't have to use the big images. You can use your smaller images with that as well to create something fun. We're going to come in with our dark under there, a little under here, and that little fold. I'm going to switch to that medium color. And our light. And blend everything together. All right, so there's that. Before we add this to our card, we're going to do our card base. And I've actually already done it. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4 and 8 and 2 1/8. That 2 1/8 section we are going to fold back on itself because we're going to make a simple gatefold card. So that's going to get folded back. All right, I've got 2 matte layers of the lighter brown cardstock that is 1 3/4 by 5 1/4, and then I have 2 pieces of the pattern paper, which is 1 1/2 by 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 to this panel. So I'm going to take and add this green to our matte layer. And this will get attached to that back flap. Right there, we'll just make sure it's nice and lined up. That gets folded over. That way when that's opened up, you can see our pattern. We're going to add our next little piece with our pumpkin pattern paper right on the front flap. That'll go on here. All right. Now, this is going to get attached only on the part that's overhanging. So we are going to attach this first. So I'll just run a little liquid glue along that edge. We don't want to glue our card shut. So we want to keep that nice and adhered. Now we can take and cut another one of those and cover over this, which I probably will end up doing. But we are going to go ahead and arrange our leaves and things. So I'm going to add a little bit of foam squares behind one of our little leaves on this side. And I'm going to add a liquid glue and a foam square back there. And then we're going to do the same thing. And I'm just using small foam squares to our same little flower leaf right here. It's going to go right in there. And we're going to work our way around our little arrangement here. I'm going to add that one right there. And then this one is going to get tucked in over on that side. Basically what we do on one side, we're going to mirror on the other. So we'll add this one up here. I'll add that one over here. Our little orange pieces. I'm going to tuck right in here. Kind of goes around our little floral wagon wheel. I'm going to add our last one over here. Just tucking it in right there. All right, I'm going to take some of my twine. I'm going to double it up. I'm going to make a double bow. If I could hold the twine. We are going to make a double bow. And I can adjust that. Trim that off. Trim that off. Adjust that. I'm going to add a dot of liquid glue right here. That bow is going to go right on that. Then I'm going to add foam squares. I'm going to drop my sentiment. I have to bend over and get it. I'm going to add a couple foam squares. behind that. Trim off any overhanging. I'm going to add that to our sentiment card. And I made sure that the foam square stuck to our piece of pattern paper right there. Now, I've got another piece of that mat that is 3/4 of an inch. And I've got a little mat layer here. I need to trim that down just a tad. I forgot to trim this. This is a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4, and this is 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/2. We are going to attach this little strip to our little mat layer here. And then this is going to go on the inside edge of our card, or our little fun fold. Just go right along the edge. Just like that. And then I'm going to add a few of our gold glitter drops. We'll also add a few highlights as well. I'm going to tuck a few up close to our little arrangement. So we do want those to kind of pop in there. Couple here. That will drive me crazy, so we will move that over there. So we'll do that one right there. Pop on a few last ones. Right there, and one more. That one right there. Then I will add my highlights, my gel pen. Right along our little spokes, letting that skip if needed, or if it skips, it's okay. And clean up any little area that I went outside the little lines. So we'll add our highlights to these. To our little leaves. All right, here's a look at our 4th card, our little fun fold. I'm gonna pull all 4 cards in together. So we can look at what the cards we made in this month's free card class. If you like this video, you're probably gonna like the one coming up over there. I'll see you in that video. Bye guys, stay crafty, love you.